The UN says that thousands of former pro-Gaddafi loyalists are still being held in secret prisons, with some of them being tortured. 31 prisons holding some 3,000 people are now under the new government's control, but up to 4,000 more detainees remain in the hands of uncontrolled rebel forces. Well, to talk about the situation in Libya, I'm now joined by Lawrence Freeman. He's from the Executive Intelligence Review magazine. Well, the UN findings say that despite these serious human rights abuses, Libya is on its way to democracy. Would you agree with that?
No, I don't think Libya is on its way to democracy. I think that this is a major disaster which was caused by the West and President Obama's invasion and regime change policy under the guise of humanitarian intervention, the responsibility to protect. And I think the country is in terrible shape. And some people tell me in Africa that the country may be on the verge of splitting up. And also, it's created massive instability across all of the Sahel in northern Africa. So those people are not giving you accurate information. This is a very dangerous situation for Africa at the moment.
Some would say this is the sort of situation you would expect after such upheaval in a country, and this is merely a transitional period, and the future is supposed to be brighter than it is now. Would you agree with that?
I don't see that happening. You have right now, as is people could have known in advance easily, maybe they didn't, that's why the invasion was carried out. You have a tribal society. You don't have a nationalistic clear direction and mission for the country. So once you overthrew Gaddafi, who was no good, no question about it, but you did it in the way that the West did, including the killing of Gaddafi, then you're setting up various tribal groups to vie for control. And right now, those tribal groups are all off on their own, competing with one another, including attacks on the National Transitional Government itself. So I think people are making a major mistake, and I think the coup in Mali is directly connected to the overthrow of Gaddafi because it allowed people to get very large amounts of weapons, which previously had been under some control, and then they were opened up for all kinds of various groups to arm themselves, and this included those rebels in Mali who toppled the government in the north. So I think that people are misevaluating the situation. They're very wrong in their evaluations right now, if that's what they think.
The rebel groups were rebelling against Gaddafi before the NATO involvement. Some would say that the country could have ended up marred in a revolution for years, saying the alliance did the right thing. And, as you said earlier, the whole guise was a humanitarian mission. Did it not prevent many more deaths in the long run?
No. The doctrine that Obama and others are following is called the responsibility to protect, which says that we have a right, when we think there's a humanitarian disaster, we have the right to intervene. President Obama recently has made this part of the U.S. government. He established the Atrocities Prevention Board, which can make these determinations. Now, the good news is that recently Senator Webb from Virginia is entering a piece of legislation into the United States Congress and Senate that prohibits the president from conducting a war under humanitarian guise if it does not get the approval of Congress. This move in Libya was a violation of the United States Constitution and a violation of powers, and was the grounds actually for impeachment of President Obama.
And briefly, Lawrence, you said it was a disaster. Do you think the West has learned lessons then in Libya, and that's the reason we're not seeing that sort of intervention in Syria now?
Well, I think we're right on the verge in Syria, and I think one of the intentions in Syria and possibly Iran is to force a confrontation with Russia and China over a military intervention. I think that we're on a very dangerous course right now with NATO and the United States pushing to the limit, pushing the envelope on a brinkmanship with Russia and China. And you're seeing that over right now, the anti-ballistic missile defense system that the US and NATO are planning for Eastern Europe and Europe.
Interesting perspective on all of this. Thank you very much for your thoughts. Lawrence Freeman from the Executive Intelligence Review magazine joining us live there in the USA.
My pleasure.